I'm filming this video without a script or preparation or anything, so my apologies if I frame anything indelicately. But I just finished watching the latest season of Love on the Spectrum, and it's interesting because 2 days ago I watched a video by Rowan Ellis, who is a leftist video essayist on YouTube, who did a video called The Infantilization of Autistic Characters, I think was the name of it. And what was interesting to me is that in this video, she describes a bunch of representations of autistic people, both in fictional and, rarely the opportunity to watch non-fictional autistic people in mainstream media. And specifically, she read some quotes from people critiquing the Love on the Spectrum show, which, if you haven't heard of it, it's several seasons old now. It started in Australia, and then it also filmed in the US the last couple of years. And it's a relationship show about autistic people trying to have relationships. And one of the critiques she read was that it's play, like the music that they play is better suited to like bumbling baby giraffes or something like that. And that, making the central point of the show, the fact that they're autistic, is like making it like a show, like a circus show or whatever. And I strongly disagree with both of those sentiments. First of all, I am also autistic. I'm obviously not nonverbal or whatever, and it's harder to, or women are much less often diagnosed. But I'm also autistic. My husband is autistic. My kids might be. I don't know. We haven't tested them, but. And so just to lay that out there, and obviously, just because I'm autistic doesn't mean that I can speak for all autistic people. Anyway, so first of all, about the gimmick of the show being that they're autistic, 2 points on that. One, how can the person who said that know that the contestants on, like they mentioned, reality shows where they're on a deserted island, or they're, like Squid Games, real life Squid Games or whatever. How do they know that none of those people are autistic? There's a range of autistic people. It doesn't, they don't have to be nonverbal and, whatever, all those stereotypes. Like, they could still be autistic, and it's just not mentioned on the show. Second of all, shows like that are intended very differently than something like Love on the Spectrum. They want drama in the competition shows and the Love Island, not Love Island, but Love Island, shows like that. And they're very different. I think just the fact that both of them are reality shows doesn't mean that you can just unthinkingly conflate them as the same kind of thing. There's a reason that I watch Love on the Spectrum, but I don't watch any of those, stereotypical reality shows. It's because I don't like watching people be assholes to each other or false drama or whatever. I like, if I'm going to watch a show about, a reality show, I want it to be a feel good. I want to see people achieve happiness. There's one other show that I've seen more than like one episode of that's a reality show, and it's actually a Korean one called Singles Inferno. I think I'm blanking on it or whatever. And it's a relationship one, but the thing that I like about it is it's not, first of all, they're not all just like immediately jumping into bed with each other, which casual sex is fine, but like there's no intrigue if they're just immediately sleeping together. And also, like, they're not mean to each other. Like, they're not perfectly kind and nice and everything. And there's definitely characters, contestants, whatever you want to call them, on the show that have streaks of meanness in them and stuff, but there's none of this cutthroat, I'm going to take a bitch down, which is what people who watch like Real Housewives and stuff, that's what they want. They want that cutthroatness. I don't. And I'm not saying you're a bad person if you want to watch it. I just don't like it, and I definitely wouldn't want my kids watching it and emulating that behavior. If you want to make the decision to watch stuff like that as an adult, that's your own business. So anyway, very different kind of show. Also, I think it's important to mention that they are autistic when you, autistic, not artistic, when you're doing the show, because a major service of the show is dispelling myths about autistic people, because there are a lot of people out there who still think that all autistic people have extreme physical tics, that have meltdowns all the time, that have, that are nonverbal, like all these things. And there are autistic people like that, and they shouldn't be shamed for it. But that's why it's called love on the spectrum, because a lot of people, we can't isolate ourselves in these echo chambers where it's like, oh, everyone knows everything about autism, everyone knows it's a spectrum, everyone knows that there's all these different presentations of it. I remember reading this manga book some years ago, actually, now, and it was about a mom who finds out that her child is autistic. And unfortunately, it really plays into a lot of the stereotypes where, like, the kid is nonverbal and doesn't show affection and everything like that. And, from my own experiences growing up, I always hated being touched. But that didn't mean that I didn't want to be close to people. I just didn't like people coming up and poking me. And just the idea that autistic people can't desire relationships is unfortunately a pernicious belief that a lot of people have. And so I think that this show, first of all, does a great job dispelling that myth that autistic people just as a monolith don't want to be in love, don't want to have physical intimacy. And two, it humanizes them, because the way that people are, against autistic people or trans or racial, whatever it is that people are against, is because all they have in mind is what is described to them as the other. There's a reason that the states with very little immigration tend to be more racist, because their only exposure to even the idea of immigrants and stuff like that is what they hear on Fox News. Once you actually get to know a person from a marginalized community and you realize, oh my God, they're people too, then it's a lot harder to maintain that racism or whatever. Not that you can't, and obviously it depends a lot on who you surround yourself with and everything like that. That's a branch off into incel ideology where, women are bitches, you only want to sleep with rich chads, and you're like focusing only on women that don't want to be with you and ignoring the anyway, sidetrack. And then the other thing about the critique, the baby giraffe thing, I thought was very strange, because even of the pieces I've seen of the more, like I said, cutthroat reality shows or whatever, they play music like that all the time. Like anytime there's like an awkward moment or something, they'll play that, music or whatever. Like that was such a weird thing to say. It's like baby. I feel like that's just a lot of projection. So anyway, I'm not saying that's a perfect representation. You may disagree. You may think that having it mentioned that these people are autistic as is the main point of the show is harmful, and that's, you're free to have that opinion. I respectfully disagree. I think that it is, like I said, it's a good way of normalizing the variety of autistic people out there, and helping people that only have this idea of what autistic people are like understand that they're people too. And like, for the most part, every person that they, that's another thing. Every person in that show, especially the girls, I like fall in love. Like they're so sweet and nice and pleasant, and like they're, again, they're fighting against the stereotype of autistic people being rude and blunt and, all these other things. Like there's this one older guy, I can't remember his name or whatever, but he's been on a couple of seasons, and he's like in his 60s, and like he's the nicest freaking guy, and it's like you root for him, you want him to find love so badly. Anyway, the last thing that Rowan said in her video, quoted someone else as saying in her video, was that they spend more time talking to the parents than the contestants in this show. And I think that it was written about like the earliest season or two of the show, and so I don't remember it super clearly, but especially now in the more recent seasons, that is just abjectly not true. Like, yeah, they talk to the parents, or guardians or, siblings or whatever of the autistic people because it's a major part of their life. Most of them still live at home, which a lot of people live at home anyway. It's really fucking expensive. Hi, cat. But yeah, like, I don't know. It felt like the person who she was quoting, and it might have been multiple people, I don't remember, who were tearing down the show, like, one, never actually watched the show, and two, never watched other reality shows either.